New U.S. tariffs are now in effect. They went into effect September 1. A spokesperson for the Chinese Commerce Ministry now says China will sue the United States over these tariffs through the World Trade Organization. Next month, October, is the 70th anniversary of the Communist Party beginning. But what about the Hong Kong protests and how that adds pressure?
It's enormous pressure, Xi. I mean, right now the world is watching. You know, you have millions of people in the street. You have police who are reacting to them. You're going to have images. It's very, very sensitive for China right now because you have the trade war, you have Hong Kong, you have all these other issues. It's very sensitive time for Beijing.
What do the people of Hong Kong want? This started out as a protest against a specific extradition law, but it's become much bigger than that.
They want autonomy.
They want autonomy.
Like what they were promised,
They want
by the
their
way.
two systems.
But China keeps breaking the promises.
That's right. And this is really Hong Kong fighting for its own freedom.
I think it helps the Trump side, doesn't it? It helps the president.
It does. Well,
it's just more pressure on Xi Jinping.
It is additional pressure on Xi. Now, that can work both ways. Now, if Xi's trying to go out on a limb and say, hey, do we trust the White House to do this or that in return for some commitments? We're going to go both ways.
And let me just say that the breaking news this morning is that China's Commerce Ministry says it has the right to declare a state of emergency in Hong Kong. Does that change anything from your standpoint? This just happened this morning.
Not really, because China's always felt that it could declare a state of emergency. China feels that Hong Kong is China's. And as a result, they're going to do whatever it takes in order to put this down. And that's the real tragedy of this all, that no matter how hard the Hong Kong people fight, that this is going in one direction.
The administration, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, said if we were to see any violence on the part of the Chinese government, there's absolutely no chance of a deal between the U.S. and China. Right?
A lot of what is happening right now is done by the People's Armed Police, sometimes acting as Hong Kong policemen. The Chinese have been preparing for this for years and years and years. So you're unlikely to see the type of army action. You're not going to have tanks rolling over the border and shutting down the streets. You're going to have more of police action. One thing the Chinese have done since Tiananmen has gotten very, very good at crowd control, at riot control. And so the types of things you see are much more smooth and fluid, but they can still put down protests very, very easily.
And they've got the facial recognition to do it in a calm. No, I mean it. They've got AI all over the place. What about Huawei? How does this fit into it? The company is now accusing the United States of cyber attacks. It's threatening its employees. Huawei detailing the allegations in a new release, a press release, where it also denied stealing smartphone camera technology. It's still denying stealing any intellectual property.
Well, that's one major concern, is that lost amidst all these other major issues, Hong Kong and trade, is that Huawei is going to get a free pass on this. Now, Huawei has been a very bad actor for a very long time, and right now they're under siege. Right now the Commerce Department has the ability to basically stop most commercial relationships with the United States under the entity list and under some more dramatic things, a denial order, for instance, it could do. This could get lost in a trade deal, and that would be a major problem, because Huawei is basically the tip of the Chinese sword in terms of 5G. It's probably its most important state champion. This is something that shouldn't fall under the radar, despite how many big things are happening right now.
Real quickly, how's the Chinese economy holding up? You do these surveys.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. Absolutely.
Right. Well, we had some flash data that came out a few days ago, and our data show the economy is in much more difficult shape than I think the most recent public data. We have not shown this deterioration all through 2019. There's been very strong credit support that the Chinese aren't actually talking about that much. But even in the third quarter, things are now getting worse. Weakness in China right now is quite dramatic compared to anything that we've seen since the fourth quarter of last year.